Well, we've seen Redmi versus Realme battles across many price segments. This is the first time we are going to have a Xiaomi flagship compete with a Realme flagship in India. So between these two 5G capable Snapdragon 865 phones, which one is the better deal? What are the pros and cons of each phone? That is what we aim to find out in today's video. Hey guys, Ash here from C4D Tech, and if you do end up liking what you see in this video, subscribe and please consider turning on notifications by hitting that bell icon. Let's now get started. We have two very similar looking backs here. Both Xiaomi and Realme have gone for Gorilla Glass 5. We also have similar quad camera bumps to the left, though Xiaomi does have the ultra wide separated from the other three. What actually differs here though? It's the finish. The Mi 10 has a subtle gradient pattern with sloping curves to the back that makes it a great fit in the palm. In fact, despite the overall larger footprint, the Mi 10 weighs almost the same as the Realme X50 Pro, and I actually found it easier to grip. It's also got a curved screen to the front, and the design here, it just screams premium. For the X50 Pro, Realme has gone with a matte finish available in either rust red or moss green. It's a unique look, one that kinda shines like a gem under the right light. It also holds up well against fingerprints and smudges, so that's an added bonus. In the end, this boils down to personal preference. Do you want the smaller device with an understated look, or do you prefer the bigger and more attention-grabbing form factor of the Mi 10? Here's a poll, let me know your choice. Now turning these phones around, we have more similarities. Both phones use Gorilla Glass 5 cover AMOLED panels with cutouts for selfie cameras. The Mi 10 has a single punch hole, while the Realme X50 Pro, on it, the punch hole is pill-shaped for dual selfie shooters. The 32 megapixel primary selfie camera here takes more detailed images when compared to the 20 megapixel snapper on the Xiaomi Mi 10. The secondary camera on the X50 Pro, it's an 8 megapixel ultra-wide option that is pretty useful when taking group shots. Coming back to the display though, the Mi 10, it has a slightly larger panel, 6.67 inches compared to 6.44. Both have support for HDR10+, and since the underlying tech here is AMOLED on both, the content looks gorgeous on either phone. If you think refresh rates are going to be the differentiating factor here, well, think again, as both phones have the same faster 90Hz refresh along with 180Hz touch sampling. Paired with the Snapdragon 865 SoC, both are excellent for gaming. So be it movie watching or playing a tense game of Call of Duty, neither one disappoints. Now interestingly, both Xiaomi and Realme have gone the vapor chamber route to keep temperatures under check for the flagship Snapdragon 865 they've used. So everything from casual day-to-day tasks to intense games like PUBG, they ran like a charm. Given the 90Hz refresh rates, we tried some high FPS gaming as well, and Modern Combat Versus ran butter smooth across both devices. We get 128 gigs of UFS 3.0 storage on either device for the base variant, but where the Mi 10 comes with 8 gigs by default for RAM, Realme also offers a 6 gig option. Of course, we have higher end variants with up to 12 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of onboard storage. There's no room for microSD on either phone, so the specs, they're more or less on par. Next up, we have battery life, and the Mi 10 here has a 14% higher capacity battery than the Realme X50 Pro, 4780 mAh compared to 4200 mAh. Given the similar specs and the fact that the screen on the Mi 10 is just about 3% larger than the one on the X50 Pro, the Mi 10 should hold an edge. When it comes to wired charging though, the Realme X50 Pro with its 65-watt charger, it's much faster than the 30-watt one on the Mi 10. 0 to 100 in about 35 minutes is what the Realme X50 Pro takes compared to 0 to 100 in about an hour on the Mi 10. The Mi 10, it hits right back with support for 30-watt fast wireless charging. The X50 Pro does not have any kind of wireless charging support. Moving on to software, we have Android 10 on both phones but with their own custom interfaces. Realme UI on the X50 Pro and MIUI 11 on the Mi 10. Though Realme UI is essentially tweaked ColorOS 7, the look and feel of the interface, it's a little more stockish compared to MIUI. Now I'm sure most of you are already familiar with Realme UI and MIUI 11, so we're not going to deep dive into those features here. All you need to know is both interfaces are very stable and they are feature packed. The choice here boils down to personal preference again. Jumping into the sundries, next we have dual speakers on both phones. While the X50 Pro has the earpiece doubling as a secondary speaker, the Mi 10 has an actual second speaker to the top and it just sounds better. The audio quality is much richer, much fuller. Now neither phone has a micro SD card slot like we saw, nor a headphone jack. What they do have are under-display fingerprint scanners, and when it comes to this, the Realme X50 Pro is a split second faster. Moving on to optics, the primary camera on the Mi 10 is a 108 megapixel Samsung HMX sensor coupled with a f1.7 lens with OIS. The X50 Pro, it also has a Samsung sensor for the primary, but this is the 64 megapixel ISOCELL GW1 that's paired with the f1.8 lens. There is no OIS. And a good light, both phones, they take nice pictures. They do come out more punchier on the Mi 10 thanks to the bright yellows and lush greens. However, the problem of overexposing the sky that we encountered in our blind test, that still persists. When it comes to the X50 Pro, we have a nice mix of colors in both the shadows as well as the highlights. The dynamic range is a little better here. Taking a look at the full resolution images, it seems like the X50 Pro actually does better than the Mi 10 on most occasions. And the fact that the 64 megapixel sensor outdoes the 108, that came as quite a surprise. So is the 108 megapixel sensor useless? Is it just a gimmick? Not really. It's under low light that the sensor shines. The larger 1x1.33 inch sensor size coupled with optical image stabilization on the lens and the wider aperture, the night mode on the Mi 10, it gets brighter pictures here. There is more detail, the noise is kept to a minimum in comparison. Now moving on to the ultra wides, it's a 13 megapixel snapper on the Mi 10 that shoots brighter images than the 8 megapixel one on the X50 Pro. It also has better detail. Look at the flower in this picture. Now the ultra-wide on the X50 Pro, it also happens to double as a macro sensor, while the Mi 10 has a separate 2 megapixel macro shooter. However, the X50 Pro does better when it comes to colors and details for macro shots. In place of that dedicated macro sensor that the Mi 10 has, the X50 Pro, Realme's opted for a 12 megapixel telephoto option that allows for 2x optical zoom, 5x hybrid zoom, and up to 20x digital zoom. This is reach that the Mi 10 just cannot match. Now looking at the rear portraits, both phones have 2 megapixel depth sensors. The Mi 10's portraits are a bit soft, but the edge detection is better than the X50 Pro, especially around the strands of hair. Also, the subject on the X50 Pro looks weirdly over-sharpened. Now, as far as video goes, the biggest talking point is the fact that the Mi 10 can capture 8K video. As we've seen before, this could actually be upscaled 6K. Now it is sharp, whatever it is. It has good colors, there's good dynamic range. On the other hand, when we compare it, there is 4K 30 FPS on the X50 Pro. Yes, 4K 30, not 4K 60, since for some reason Realme's omitted that. Realme though has thrown in a ton of extra features, including portrait mode for video for both the front and rear cameras, ultra steady for the front camera, max ultra steady, that's basically ultra steady but on the ultra wide lens. So what do we have here? These are two phones that are on par on a lot of fronts for the most part. The Mi 10 though, it has an edge with battery life, wireless charging, low light stills and videography. While the Realme X50 Pro, it has the faster charger, takes better pictures with the selfie camera. It has a telephoto option to the back as well as an ultra wide option to the front, apart from loads of video modes. And most importantly, it should have the cheaper price tag. I say should because, as I said in the last comparison, we don't know the Mi 10's official pricing yet, but given the Chinese price and the recent price hikes across the board thanks to the increase in GST, I'd expect the Mi 10 to launch at around 45,000 rupees, which means the X50 Pro, which itself has seen a price hike to 40,000 now, should still end up paying the cheaper option. And I feel that makes the X50 Pro better value, since Realme, what they're offering here is not just a cheaper phone, but also a well-rounded overall package. The Mi 10 still has its advantages, like I said, battery, wireless charging and all that, but for it to be competitive, it needs to be priced close enough for it to be a must-buy. A lot is going to depend on how it's priced. If it ends up being priced at, say, 40,000 to match the Realme X50 Pro, then it could be a viable alternative that you could choose based on what is more important to you. But if it ends up being priced at 45,000 like I expect it to be, then it's just gonna be too high a difference to be competitive. It's still a great phone though, and that is my opinion. Now I want to know yours. Which one of these two phones would you go for and why? Let me know in the comments below. Also, if there is any Realme or Redmi phone that you would like for me to compare side by side, or any phones for that matter that you would like for me to compare, leave a suggestion down below and I will try to make that happen. Now with that, we get to the end of this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications by hitting that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks a lot for watching. Till next time, my name's Ash. You've been watching C4E Tech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye bye.